Hotels, buildings and cars are torched. We're live on the ground as the story changes minute by minute, right here, right now, at the iDesk. Hello everyone, up first here at the iDesk. Anger against austerity measures turns deadly in Greece. These are some of the dramatic scenes playing out in the capital. Tens of thousands of protesters are out on the streets, some clashing with police who responded with tear gas. Let's go straight to Dinah Magnay. She joins us now live from outside the parliament in Athens. And Dinah, we've been sharing with our viewers some of the dramatic scenes. Share with us some of what you've seen throughout the day in Greece.
Hi, Aisha. Well, first of all, this square at around 11 o'clock this morning was absolutely jam-packed with thousands of protesters who tried to storm up the steps of the Parliament building, and that was the first time that we saw the riot police actually push back with tear gas. And for the next couple of hours, it really was just a wave of rioters throwing sticks, stones, bottles at police, and police pushing back with tear gas, clearing out this square eventually. And as you can see, there's just debris here now, and pushing the rioters down the side streets. And we know that there are still rioters in the side streets, or demonstrators. It's unfair to call them rioters. A lot of them are simple demonstrators coming out to protest those austerity measures, and that they are waiting to come back into the square. But we have learned from the fire brigade here in Athens that 3 people, bank staff, have been killed after a petrol bomb was thrown by demonstrators, by rioters, into a bank quite near here, about 5 minutes away from the square where I am, Aisha.
Dan, I understand that as those protesters were outside the parliament, lawmakers inside were actually discussing the austerity measures. Do we know of those discussions and what was going on?
They are discussing the austerity bill. Today it was going through the passed or reviewed by the Parliamentary Economic Committee, and tomorrow it would be voted on by Parliament. I mean, we do expect that to pass. What we do not know is whether the streets will continue to be filled with protesters over the days ahead. The unions have said that they will continue to protest. But of course, once you have fatalities into the mix, which we now realize has happened as a result of the riots today, then it will be interesting to see whether public opinion decides against going out onto the streets to protest these measures. Aisha?
Dinah, I suppose indeed that's the principal question, whether Greece is heading into a period of sustained social unrest and how the government is going to withstand that.
Well, it is extremely difficult to know what the outcome. The government has been trying to sell this package as being a Greek person's national duty to swallow these financial measures. And it has also been saying that it has tried to keep them socially fair, that some of the cuts in the public sector salaries and pensions are means tested, essentially, so those worse off do not get hit as hard. But people here just don't feel that that is the case, and they are fighting for their rights on the streets. And even though it is quiet here now, in other parts of the city it is not. Aisha?
All right, Dinah Magnay joining us there from outside the Parliament in Athens. Dinah, we appreciate it. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Let's check the numbers out of Athens right now. Taking a look at the Athens Composite Index, and you see it is down. Probably no surprise, really, amidst all the scenes of chaos and turmoil on the streets of Athens. The Athens Composite down over 5.5%. Let's take a closer look now at the Portugal PSI 20. That too is down. Concerns about Portugal's credit rating have been basically in the spotlight for some time now, and it's been put on a review for a downgrade. Moody's is warning of a possible cut. Let's look at Spain's IBEX, and you see it is down over 2.5%. Yesterday, Spain's Prime Minister having to come out and say his country would not be asking for billions in a bailout as concerns continue about that country's financial situation. Let's check in now on Europe's main indexes and see how things look there. London's FTSE down, also Paris CAC 40, the Xetra DAX not faring much better, or the Zurich SMI. The main indices there in Europe all in negative territory. Let's get some deeper understanding of this, some broader perspective, and go to London and join Jim Bolden. He's keeping an eye on the bigger picture for us. We've just seen all the major markets down across Europe, and he also is going to tell us about this veiled threat by the German Chancellor. Jim, what has Angela Merkel been saying?
Well, the German lawmakers are debating this bill. Of course, they have to pass in order to give that money, that loan to Greece. And Angela Merkel also has this election coming up in a few days. So she's had some very strong words about Greece's place inside the European Union. Basically, she's looking for penalties for any country that puts the whole Euroland area into this kind of situation. Again, let's listen to what she said this morning to lawmakers.
Europa schaut heute auf Deutschland.
Today, Europe is looking at Germany. There can and will be no decision without us, against us. Without us, against us, there can and will be no decision which is economically sustainable and serves the legal requirements to the full extent, both in view of European and national law.
So here's what has to happen, Aisha. We have to have the Germans voting positively in order for that money to go to Greece, and also we have to have the Greek parliament vote in this next step of austerity package. And that's, of course, why what's happened on the streets of Athens the last few hours, turning deadly, just makes this ever more sobering for the markets, and the fact that dollar has been gaining ground. The euro has really fallen hard in the last few hours.
Jim, you have to wonder what the view is among other Eurozone nations as they watch the strong public opposition to these austerity measures that are tied to this bailout package.
Well, what's happened, I mean, even Slovakia today is saying, for instance, we must see Greece go through these processes before we can tell our people that you have to give money. You've got countries like Ireland having to give money, Spain having to give a lot of money, France some $22 billion, Germany $29 billion into this pocket of money, in this pot of money, to then loan it over time to Greece as and when it needs it. So the people of the rest of Euroland are seeing what's happening in Greece, and there are beginning to be some questions of whether or not the Greek Parliament will be able to stick to its ground and pass these measures. But let's be very clear, in order for Greece to get the IMF money, in order for Greece to get money out of countries like Germany, they are going to have to stick to these programs. And that's why the tension is really difficult. That's why we're seeing the bond markets hit, the stock markets hit, and the euro hit.
Yeah, the Greek government definitely between a rock and a hard place. Jim Bolden joining us from London. Thanks, Jim.